Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Football Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. We're presented by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Check out the menu, corksfishandshrimp.com. I want to take the opportunity to set you up for our broadcast schedule tomorrow, starting here under the Guarantee Media roof. It'll be Charles Handegriff and Matt Musso for Eagle 98.1 Game Days pregame show from Rouse's, Burbank, and Lee. They'll crank up at 1:30. They'll go for 3 hours, and at 4:30 they'll hand things off to the LSU Sports Radio Network. That's where I come in. My guy Brandon Taylor and Marlon Favorite will be right between the ramps of the Assembly Center, getting you ready for LSU and Alabama from 4:30 until 6 o'clock. That's when we'll throw it to the broadcast team for the call. They'll have that 30 minutes after the game goes final. It'll be the Fighting Tiger post-game report on the LSU Sports Radio Network. Me, Marlon, and Brandon right back with you. And we'll be taking your questions and comments for an hour, 90 minutes after the game goes final, right here from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. It is Richard Dixon and Charles Handegriff with Eagle 98.1 Game Days post-game show, taking your phone calls for 2 hours on the post-game show after LSU and Bama go final. So starting at 1:30 all the way through into Sunday morning, we'll have you covered on LSU football here at Guarantee Media. All right, we got to talk about this, Beck. We were really cruising through 9 weeks.
Yep.
41-35 was the mark. That is 6 games clear of 500. That's a remarkable mark.
It was very good.
And we were white hot. I mean, there's no two ways about it.
After not a great start.
Yeah, I mean, a scuffling start, but you start in week 6, you're talking about a record of 17-6-1, which is sparkling.
Very
and then
good.
we ran off the train tracks last week.
Yeah.
Had one cover, and it was Mississippi State, who's just abysmal.
Over the Minutemen.
They played UMass. So we had no pulse on the Southeastern Conference last week, got none of the conference games right, and that's a tough pill to swallow. But as I said at the top of the show, like, you got to get in the film room, you got to correct your technique.
Got to get better.
You got to get better, and you got to come back out ready to play the next week. So I really don't see another option but just to strap it on and go right back at it. So let's crank it up. All right, this is a great day of football, by the way. If you're not going to the LSU game and you're just hanging out on the couch watching football, you can do it all day and see some interesting stuff in the Southeastern Conference. Starts at 11 o'clock. Florida is at Texas. The Longhorns are a 22.5-point favorite. DJ Lagway is listed as questionable. Billy Napier said yesterday he's giving it his best shot to play. Here's my thing. Billy Napier's coming back, okay? Florida's not any good. They're not going to the playoff. They're not going to Atlanta. They're terrible. So what do they have to play for here? Why are they going to put the future of their program, DJ Lagway, out there with a bum hamstring? I just don't think that's going to happen. I don't think he's going to play. Florida, while they did play Georgia very close, gave up 34 points and got 3 turnovers against Georgia. Like, Florida's pass defense is 10th in the SEC. I think Texas is going to score a lot of points. I don't think Florida's quarterback's going to play. I think Texas is going to beat Florida badly. 22.5, I will lay that. I will fully admit laying the 22.5. DJ Lagway goes out there and plays, I might be in trouble. But I don't think he is. So I'm going to take Texas and lay the 22.5. 2:30, huge one from Vaught Hemingway in Oxford, Mississippi. Number 3, Georgia at number 16, Ole Miss. I cannot shake Carson Beck's interceptions. He's throwing him like he's giving out Halloween candy. Ole Miss has a better quarterback in this game. Of that, I am very, very confident. And Ole Miss is at home. Georgia's run defense has been good. It's not been awesome. It's 6th in the SEC. However, all that said, Lane Kiffin's Ole Miss teams have not stood up against elite-level competition. They just haven't. They've beaten the Little Sisters of the Poor. They handle their business going up there and beating Arkansas by 40 points. When they go to Tuscaloosa, they get beat. When they went to Athens last year, they got embarrassed. Like, they have not stood up to the elites in college football. Are they ready to do that? I hope not. I need Ole Miss out of the playoff. But Carson Beck's throwing too many interceptions for me, and I think Ole Miss is legitimately good, and I think they can stop Georgia from running the ball. I'll bite on this. I'll take Ole Miss, the home team. I will take the 2.5 points with the Revs. I hope I'm wrong. That's for LSU's sake. South Carolina's at Vandy. All of a sudden, this game rocks. This game looked terrible in August. It looks great right now. Vandy at home is catching 5.5 points. Vanderbilt's third in the SEC in sacks allowed. Pavia is tough to get to. He runs around. He's hard to sack, and we know how good that South Carolina pass rush is. Both these quarterbacks are electrifying athletes in very different ways. Vanderbilt, another key that we haven't talked about a lot, they don't turn the ball over against league teams. They're the fewest turnovers against SEC teams of any team in the league. 5.5 seems like a lot. They seem like pretty good teams that are pretty comparable. I'm taking the home team, not exactly in a great environment, but I get 5.5 points. I'll take Vanderbilt and do that. 6 o'clock game, Mississippi State is at Tennessee. Number 7 Vols are laying 24.5 in this game. Tennessee is the number 5 scoring defense in the nation. They're the number 6 rush defense in the nation. They're the number 22 pass defense in the nation. This defense is legit right now. Nobody has scored 20 points on them. Mississippi State has been decent on offense. They're 6th in the SEC in touchdowns scored. They just can't play any defense. Tennessee in this game is at home, and they're at Georgia next week. Is this a look-ahead spot for the Vols? I believe it is. I believe Mississippi State scores more than 20 points for the first time anyone's done that against Tennessee all year, and I think they cover the 24.5 points. I like that bet a lot. I did like Mississippi State bet late getting a lot of points.
It too.
I liked it a lot a couple weeks ago, and they didn't.
They've been covered against when they play the toughest games. They've been covering,
and so I'll take them this week as well. I just think they're going to score some points against a Tennessee team that's just going to be a little flat, I think. And then 6:45, Oklahoma is at Missouri. Brady Cook is questionable in this game, and let me tell you, Drew Pine is not good. Not good at all. But neither is Oklahoma. They showed some fight in Oxford in the first half, and then they got shut out in the second half against Ole Miss. Missouri's defense isn't hurt. It's not great, but it's not hurt. I don't think Oklahoma's going to score a ton of points in this game. I don't like pulling for Drew Pine if he plays. I think he's bad. He was turning the ball over a ton against Alabama. But you're giving me Missouri. I'm at home. I get 2.5 points against a bad Oklahoma team. I'll take it. Give me Missouri plus the 2.5. Those are my SEC picks against the number. Once again, Texas minus 22.5 against Florida. Ole Miss catching 2.5 at home against Georgia. Vanderbilt catching 5.5 at home against South Carolina. Mississippi State catching 24.5 at Tennessee. And Missouri at home catching 2.5. That is 4 of my 5 picks taking points.
Is that Oklahoma-Missouri line not weird to you?
It's Drew Pine. It's Drew Pine.
Yeah.
Missouri's not good anyway. I've called them a fraud all year, and I don't think they're good at all. But have you watched Oklahoma play? They stink.
They do. I haven't seen that. But is
Cook?
Is Cook?
Questionable.
Okay, he's questionable. I think he's going to play. I think he has to play if they want to. If Drinkwitz wants to have a chance at winning this game, he's got to play, even if he's not 100%.
I mean, it's bad. Like, I watched him against Alabama. Pine was throwing the ball to the other team just with great frequency. But I just have very little respect for Oklahoma. And maybe they figured some things out on offense against an FCS team last week. It's conceivable. My guess is probably not. And so I think Luther Burden and Theo Weiss and the home crowd, and they still got something to play for. I think they've only got 2 losses, right?
Yes.
So, theoretically, they've still got something to play for. I think the home crowd will be into it. I mean, it's an old Big 12 rivalry. I think you're going to get, even though Missouri is probably disappointed with the ultimate result here, that they've gotten blown out by A&M and Alabama, which doesn't bode well for the rest of the way.
No.
But I still think it's Missouri. They only have 2 losses. They'll be into it. Oklahoma's coming in. That's a big brand, big crowd. And I don't think Michael Hawkins is going to go out there and score 30 points.
The thing is, though, is Missouri does only have 2 losses, but I think they're probably out of.
But
because even if they win out,
that.
No, they don't. But even if they win out, they're not making the SEC championship game, and they don't have a good win to stand on.
Correct, but you never know. With 2 losses, you feel like you can go get a puncher's chance. I'm not asking the crowd to respond to 2 losses the way Ohio State or Georgia does.
Right.
I'm asking them to respond to 2 losses as a Missouri fan would, which to me is a reasonable shot to play for something significant. So I probably took too many points there.
No. See, this is. I don't understand why you're saying that, because you remember what happened last week?
Yeah, I do. I laid all the points.
You laid all the points, and what happened?
I got destroyed.
Yes.
But here's the deal. I also never consider what I have done to this point when I'm going through. I just pick them, and then I look back and I go, man, I laid a lot of points there.
I mean, I guess that's probably a good practice for the most part.
It generally has worked the last 2 years in those September games.
Yeah.
Because the line is like 40 or 31, and all the SEC teams score 60.
Yes. But that's the thing about these conference games. It's like, how many times does Vegas have to see Mississippi State play a really good team and they're giving them 28 points and they always cover?
But they got embarrassed by Arkansas.
They did that, and that is the one stain on their record. But if you took them in the points in all those other big games,
Texas,
you won.
Georgia, that you covered in all those, and then I took them against UMass, laying a bunch of points, and they won. Their offense is fine. Their defense,
they just can't stop anyone.
Stinks. And so if Tennessee turns around and hands it off a bajillion times, but the key there is, and this I actually didn't think about this, but now that I'm doing it in my head, if Tennessee does turn around and run it for like 7 yards to carry,
that could be a problem.
Well, it's a problem, but the clock runs.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, so it could be good. I'll take. That's a lot of points. I can lose by 24. But my bold prediction there is that Mississippi State will score 20. I'm counting on Tennessee not showing up to play.
Yeah,
which can happen.
State has scored at least 20 plus points in all their conference games except for Texas. That's it. So they can score. They just can't stop anybody. But Tennessee has not really run up the score on anybody this year.
Except NC State.
Except for NC State.
Yeah, that was tough.
Yeah.
All right, that's it for my SEC picks. We'll grade those out on Monday. Take it or leave us coming up in 15 minutes. And my final pick for LSU, Bama, and the Saints and Falcons coming up as well. Don't go anywhere. It's a Football Friday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electrical Services. Neil and Melissa have been running things for 40 years. Saw Justin Boudreaux just about 2 hours ago. He was hanging out at Lod Cook. We were having a Football Friday luncheon over there, and he's fired up for LSU and Bama tomorrow. Tigers, their blood runs deep with LSU over there at Boudreaux's Electrical, and they can help you out as well. Give you the peace of mind to know that, hey, even though a hurricane may show up, this one did not. Next hurricane season, always right around the corner. Still a great time to call the folks at Boudreaux's Electrical to get you in that Generac generator at your home or your business. Give them a call. Same number they had for 40 years. 985-397-1562. 985-397-1562. Or in the 225 Gonzales location, 393-89. That's 393-89. But I give you the easy way every single day because this is just the easy way to contact people. BoudreauxElectrical.com. Every single Generac home standby generator that they sell you comes with a 7 to 10 year warranty over at Boudreaux's Electrical. Check them out online. BoudreauxElectrical.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
It's a little bit hard to believe that we sit here in early November and realizing where we were 2 weeks into the NFL season, we're having the discussions we are about the New Orleans Saints. I realize that losing 7 games in a row is feels like it goes on forever, and those 2 weeks to some may feel like forever ago. But I still very vividly obviously remember them and talking about them and feeling like maybe the Saints had a chance in the NFC in a conference that we didn't feel like was setting the world on fire. And now you realize that I'm going to have to discuss this Saints and Falcons game that comes up on Sunday in terms of like interim coaches dealing with their new responsibilities and defensive coaches dealing with new responsibilities and players that have been traded all. It's a completely different conversation than the one that we figured we'd be having after 2 weeks. I watched the last 7 games, so I know the defense has been terrible. Like, I know. But it's still interesting to go back and think about where we were in week 2 and then listen to what I'm going to say just 7 weeks later. I don't know how the Saints are going to stop Atlanta. I really don't. Kirk Cousins, from week 5 on, has the second most passing yards in the NFL. And the Saints have the 4th worst passing defense in the NFL, and that's with Marshawn Lattimore and Paulson Adebo. Now Lattimore plays for Washington. Adebo is in the training table with a broken leg, and you've now got to deal with potentially Kool-Aid McKinstry in or out. I don't know. You got Alontae Taylor moving out to a different position, and oh, by the way, the guy that's been developing them, and Dennis Allen's no longer there, and then Joe Woods got to call the plays. And your run defense sucks too. So I realize the Falcons have been good on offense, but clunky at times. I think they're going to score a lot of points on the Saints. And that's just the way that the NFC South has gone. I saw this stat. Shout out to the folks at ESPN. All 7 NFC South matchups have gone over the total this season. NFC South matchups are averaging 58.7 per game. So that's kind of where we sit here. I'm struggling with the Saints' defense's ability to keep up with Atlanta. As of 7 weeks ago, as of 4 weeks ago, we thought the Saints' defense was among the best in the NFL. And now I'm looking going, well, they're not. And so that puts a lot of onus on the Saints to score a lot of points. And I just haven't seen that type of ability since week 2. They didn't score a lot on Kansas City, didn't score a lot on Philly, and then Carr got hurt, and you had a rookie out there, and then Carr came back last week, and it didn't look that much better. And so now you look out there, and Chris Olave is certainly not going to play on Sunday, and may not play the rest of the way, and Rashid Shaheed certainly isn't going to play the rest of the way. So you don't have receivers, and your offensive line is, healing, still banged up, and Derek Carr needs that support system to function the offense, and he doesn't have it. He's got issues at center and big-time issues at wide receiver, and a tight end passing game that's kind of been non-existent, and a running back that is trying to do everything. And look, Atlanta's defense is no great shakes. That's very clear. But what do they have to deal with here? You're dealing with a MASH unit and a team that is kind of without an identity. If you were to ask me right now, what's the Saints' identity on offense? I would say, they're going to try to run a wide zone scheme, which they haven't really gotten going. And then they'll try to play action off of it, but it's dependent on that getting going. And then if they play action, they got to throw it to Bub Means. Well, what are we doing here? I've watched the Falcons. I know their defense has gotten gashed week after week after week. I just don't know that it was Bub Means doing the gashing. I could toss Taysom Hill in there for some sort of identity, and that sounds great. But how sustainable is that as the backbone of your offense and not a gadget that you go to from time to time? Atlanta gave up 34 to the Seahawks, gave up 25 to Tampa. They gave up 30 more to Tampa. Saints scored 24. It hasn't been a great defense. I just don't know that the Saints are in position to offset that. What you've got to hope, if you're a Saints fan here, is a couple of things. One, the crowd is into it and not completely dead. I have my sincere doubts about that. I think there will be plenty of people there fired up to try to beat the Falcons. There will also be plenty of people that decide to sit this one out. Plenty of people that are going just because it's what you're supposed to do on Sunday, and they do sell cold beer there, and we'll see how emotionally invested we need to get in this. Probably not all that much. And that just doesn't make for an electrifying environment whatsoever. But you got to hope that there's a little bit of juice, and you got to hope that the team massively responds to Darren Rizzi, which is very possible. He's well liked there. It's obvious that Dennis Allen was not. He's gone. I hesitate to say substitute teacher vibes because that means you misbehave. But the pressure of dealing with Dennis Allen is gone now. And we'll see if that sparks the team for a week or two. You see that interim bump from time to time. It very rarely ends in the interim getting the job, but you do see that every once in a while. And that's a hope that you've got to have. And then Derek Carr's got to play really good. And sometimes that happens, and sometimes it really doesn't. He's going to have to stand in there and read defenses properly and throw guys open and be the best player on the Saints offensive side. You can say Taysom, you can say Kamara, all that. Truth be told, it's probably going to come down to more so Derek Carr than it is those other two guys. That's just the way it is. So as I lay that out, what's your confidence level? What's your confidence level that the Saints can put up a fight on defense with their top two corners out and defensive staff shaking up pretty significantly since Allen left? What's your confidence in the bump coming from Rizzi? What's your confidence in the Saints getting some ground game going? What's your confidence in Derek Carr trying to match Kirk Cousins throw for throw
with neither of his top receivers?
With that wide receiving group. Like I would love to try to paint a positive picture, but let's be candid about this. Like, I'm gonna have to break this game down on Monday. I'm not really in the mood to sound like a moron and go, well, look, you got rid of Allen, you got Carr back, your offensive line's a little healthier. Carr's been able to work with these backups a little bit. Kamara's still there. You'll get Taysom involved. It's a rivalry game. You'll step up and look. I think the Saints take it to him. I that's just not in my bones right now. Am I fair?
Yeah, you are. I think the only reason that anyone can maybe logically think that the Saints have a chance in this game is just because of of Rizzi and maybe inspiring this team. But if you just look at the X's and O's, you look at the players on the field, the Saints just match up horribly because they don't have any of their good players. They traded away their best defender.
Yeah.
They lost their second best cornerback. They don't have either of their top two receivers, and after that, they don't have much. So, and they're still their offensive line is still relatively makeshift. But what can you really expect from them at this point?
I mean, look, here's the deal. How old is Cam Jordan? How old is Demario Davis? How old is Carl Granderson? How old is Chase Young? How old is Alvin Kamara, Tyrann Mathieu? Like, you think a bunch of 30-somethings are going to look and go, oh, got the interim coach in, let's go. Like, you tell me some sophomores in college are fired up by that because Ed Ogeron is out there getting them a 90-minute practice in no pads instead of Les Miles banging skulls for 3.5 hours. Like, okay, I'll buy that the interim coach is going to give him a shot of life. I mean,
I don't know. I think even though a lot of these guys are vets, I do still think that they saw how toxic the locker room was and
there's no debating
the environment was. Like, even though these guys are veterans and they are probably just, a lot of them are like, all right,
they're pros.
They're pros. But I still think that this could have an effect on them. We're like, man, let's go out there and because like you always say, every team goes into the season thinking they can win the Super Bowl. That's their goal. The Saints obviously can't do that anymore, but I do think that a lot of these guys still have some pride and want to play as hard as they can to win these games for the fans. So I do think that there could be a little bit of more inspiration because of Rizzi, but I don't know that it's going to matter just because they don't have the players.
I'll be like, I don't think the Falcons are that great, but I have so little confidence in the Saints. So
yeah,
we'll see.
I think the Falcons really, I think they are actually a pretty solid team. I mean, that so far this season, I mean,
I would agree with that.
Yeah,
I think
they're a solid team, and I think they're a playoff team. So
I do too.
Compare them to the Saints. That's a very big discrepancy there.
I mean, but to your point, and that's completely correct. If they were playing Kansas City, if they were playing Buffalo, if they were playing Detroit, I would be like, well, this is a joke.
No, they're not. You're right.
This is a bottom of tier 2 team in the NFL.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see. We'll see what the Saints can do. I'm mildly interested. Quite frankly,
I am. It's the Falcons.
See what it is.
If they were playing the Patriots, no one would care about this game.
No, and I'll be candid. I don't know what's next for New Orleans on the schedule. I'm looking it up right now. So after Atlanta, which is your little interim bump here, you got Cleveland in the Dome.
Jameis.
Which is, and then you have a bye, and then you've got the Rams in the Dome. So, we'll see. Saints and Falcons coming up on Sunday, noon on Fox from the Dome. All right, we'll come back, play a little take it or leave it. A lot of it centering around the rest of college football outside of the SEC. We still got to get my final pick for LSU and Bama, as well as the Saints and the Falcons. We'll do that to close out the show. You're listening to a Football Friday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com. How about safety? Safety, pretty important when you're looking at a vehicle. The entire line was given the IIHA top safety picks. Some were top safety picks plus. And every single model, from the entry level to the highest end Genesis, come with the same safety features. They don't skimp, to use that word, on anything. Every time you get behind the wheel of a Genesis, you can feel like you and your family are safe. And oh, by the way, while you're safe, you're going to be driving something that's stylish, that's sleek, that's comfortable. It's a luxury vehicle, the entire line. If you haven't given Genesis of Baton Rouge a shot, I just highly recommend you check it out online. If you're thinking, I don't want to go to a car dealership to go shopping for a car, you don't have to. Go to genesisbatonrouge.com, call them up, say, hey, I'd like to test drive one of your models. They'll be like, sure, we'll send a brand ambassador to you. And they'll go to your work, they'll go to your house, and you can drive around and see for yourself why Genesis is correct for you. A lot of you driving around right now listening to me are not in a Genesis because it's a fairly new line and it's a fairly new store. Put it on your list. Give them a shot. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
All right, chugging along here on a Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, presented by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. If you're looking for a po' boy in Baton Rouge, have a hankering, Corks has a fantastic po' boy. They'll get you the catfish po' boy, get you that fried shrimp po' boy, just loaded with those jumbo Gulf fried shrimp. Fantastic stuff over there. A guy, Glenn West, came up to me a couple months ago and was like, hey, man, I'm glad you turned me on that Corks place. That place has got an awesome po' boy. And hey, Glenn's not some guy from like Minnesota or Wisconsin. It's a New Orleans guy. He knows a po' boy. Cork can hook you up with a fantastic po' boy. Highly recommend you go check them out. They are on Government between Foster and Jefferson. You can check them out online, corksfishandshrimp.com. I wrote a story on louisianasports.net. I believe it was on Monday. I think it was. That previewed College Game Day being here at LSU. And Beck, I'm pulling up this story right now, and you got to tell me how I did on my game day guest picker projections, because I gave you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 potential game day guest pickers.
You did?
One of them was Jim Cantori.
Yep.
Thought the hurricane might be coming. It didn't come, so
Nope.
scratch that one.
Yeah.
That was not going to happen. So that one doesn't even count. I gave you Herb Jones, Bama guy in the training room, but the whole Pels team is hurt, so we're not going to worry about that one at all. I gave you Joe Burrow.
Yep.
He and Jamar Chase were phenomenal last night. The rest of the Bengals' entire organization sucks. Those two guys are propping up the entire organization by themselves at this point. And he's not going to come down here for that one. But I had 2 other suggestions. One was Jordan Davis, country superstar from Shreveport, Louisiana, former teammate of mine in 7th grade baseball. And what did we learn just 10 minutes ago?
He's going to be playing.
He'll be playing at game day. And then one of the others I had was Paul Skeens and Livy Dunn. Do they never do a co-pickers? I nailed it.
You and your infinite wisdom.
Wow.
You called it.
I mean, again, I oftentimes have to remind y'all, this is why every single year, Guarantee Media pays me multiple $1,000s to be right here in this seat to give you that kind of information.
Incredible.
Truly special stuff by me. Absolutely nailed it. Got the music guest. Got the game day.
What do you think about this? I've heard some rumblings that Paul Skeens and Livy Dunn were the first choice and Joe Burrow was the backup. Like,
that's stupid.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's true or not. I've just heard some rumblings about that.
Look,
but I'm not surprised by that. I'm not, because
I mean, Burrow's a bigger name than Skeens and Livy.
Well, here's the thing, Hunt. We live in a TikTok world, okay?
So we're going off the Taylor Swift effect here?
No, yeah.
Not that Livy's Taylor Swift, but you're trying to appeal to multiple audiences.
Yeah. I think that they want to get the young people involved, you know?
Joe B doesn't get the young folks going?
He does, but
he threw for $1 billion last night.
He did.
How's his defense?
Not great.
Awful.
Okay, but are we going to talk about that game?
Sure, we can talk about it right now.
Okay. I vehemently disagree with going for 2 at the end of that game.
I disagree. You cannot allow Lamar Jackson to touch the ball. He was scoring a touchdown every time.
Here's my reasoning, Hunt. There's 38 seconds left in the game.
Yes.
The Ravens have 2 timeouts.
Yes.
Are you telling me you don't think that Lamar Jackson get Justin Tucker, one of the best field goal kickers in the last 5 or 6 years, in field goal range to kick a field goal, and they still win even if you get the 2-point conversion?
Well, if they kick a field goal, they're going to win anyway.
I know. So
you have to stop them anyway.
Okay, so that's the point. Is like if you make the extra point and it's tied, there is a slight chance that maybe John Harbaugh decides, we'll just kneel out and go to overtime. Maybe not. But either way, if they kick a field goal, it's over. So why go for 2 and risk the chance of
because you might win.
But if you don't get if you don't get the 2 point, it's over.
It's
just
not
like
a
what we saw
perfect
happen.
situation. It's not a perfect situation, but it's the best. It's the best.
I don't know. I think you kicked the extra point.
I got so mad. The Bengals are up 21-7, and they have the ball, and this doofus running back can't hold on to it. Just don't fumble on the 25-yard line.
Well,
hold on to the ball.
I don't care about that as so much as that 87-yard touchdown where the guy catches a crosser.
They can't push anybody out of bounds. They can't push him out of bounds.
Tackle.
They can't push Lamar Jackson out of bounds. They had him 20 yards behind the line of scrimmage. He goes right in for a touchdown. It's Joe and Jamar doing everything for that entire organization. I've had it.
It is.
I've had it. I actually got a little mad last night.
We just need to just give up on the Bengals and just become full Commanders fans at this point.
Look, it's going to have to be that way for the end of this year because the Bengals are going to play their way out of it.
You might as well go ahead and order your JD5 jersey and get it in
Joe
the mail.
Anarumo was a good defensive coordinator. Lamar Jackson it's child's play.
Well,
I saw a great tweet. Said Lamar Jackson literally treats the NFL like he's playing with his nephews.
Yeah.
Just running around,
so,
you can't catch him, throwing touchdowns, dancing.
To be fair,
too easy.
To be fair, he does that against pretty much everybody.
Yeah,
so.
I don't care. I don't want to see it anymore.
Okay.
Come on, Bengals.
All right, we got to do take it or leave it.
All right.
That was very quiet. All right, first one here. Game day in the quad. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. I think that if I was going on previous locations, I would say the Parade Ground 1 got the stadium's in the background and the clock tower's there. I think that's good. I think 2 might be the Walk-Ons lawn. That's kind of a good shot as well. They did that one time.
It's just kind of far away from campus.
It is. They initially when they did it, I was there in 03 for Georgia when they were on the PMAC ramp. That's not good. That's not good.
That's not it.
So yeah, don't do that. But the quad's okay.
It's all right.
It's in the middle of campus. It's the heart of campus. I certainly don't think it's terrible.
No.
I think the parade ground is the best.
I agree.
However, when you do it, if you do the hedge above shot from the parade ground, you can tell there's not that many people there.
Yeah,
so
it's a very big space.
Quad's a little more tight.
All right, next one here. Michigan can give Indiana a scare in Bloomington. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave it. Michigan can't score.
No, they can't. They can't throw the ball.
No, and Indiana is going to score, so it's bizarre to say after the last 2 years we just watched, but Indiana's going to beat them by 3 scores.
Yeah, I think so too. Next one, Penn State will respond and beat Washington. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to take it.
I'll take it.
I think Washington's not great.
No.
Will Rogers is okay, but Penn State's got better players, and you're still very much in it. I could see in a 4-team playoff era them losing that game, looking at Indiana, looking at Ohio State, looking at Oregon, going, okay, we're probably toast. They're not toast right now.
Nope.
They need to show up and play. It's at home. I think they'll beat Washington.
I agree with you there. Next one, Jalen Reed will lead LSU in scoring again on Sunday against Alabama State. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it.
Yeah,
he's a handful for these younger teams. Not younger teams. These lesser teams.
Size is the big.
Yeah, he can get high percentage shots a lot, and he can get rebounds and putbacks. For some reason, ULM didn't want to double him at all in the game on Wednesday. I think Alabama State will probably not do that, but still, he's bigger, faster, stronger than these dudes. I think he'll score 20 more. Certainly Cam Carter's a threat there, and I will suggest Jordan Sears, who sat out the whole first half on Wednesday with 2 fouls, is going to be in this mix big time moving forward. But I think Jalen Reed's the guy they want to feature on offense, and I think that he'll still lead them in scoring in the game on Sunday.
I agree with you there as well. Next one, LSU will get a commitment from Chris Sinak Sunday. Take it or leave it.
I will leave that, but if you're listening and you're coming down for a football game, you don't really care about basketball that much. Here's the thought. Chris Sinak is the best player that Matt McMahon has recruited toward LSU in his time. He has New Orleans ties. He grew up there, spending 1 year in boarding school, but he's a New Orleans kid, and he's a top 5-star. He's a top 15 player in the country, depending on where you look, a top 10 player in the country. He's visiting this weekend for LSU basketball. He's the only visitor they have. He's going to be at the football game, and then he'll be at the basketball game on Sunday at 4 o'clock. If you have a football ticket from Saturday, you get into Sunday's basketball game for free. They're just assuming that 103,000 aren't going to show up at the PMAC, so they're going to let you in for free with a ticket if you give them their ticket to the football game. If LSU can have a reasonable environment on Sunday, I think it will help them in pursuit of Chris Sinak. I don't think that's why he's coming to LSU, because the crowds aren't that great for basketball right now. It's a home team deal and a chance to change the culture, but this is a big deal for Matt McMahon. He's already got in this class committed 2 top 50 players. You add another top 10, you're talking about a top 5 signing class potentially for Matt McMahon, and Senak would be the cherry on top. So I hope that some folks will come out and watch the basketball team play on Sunday. Chris Senak will be there, and they got a game against Alabama State. So I don't think he's going to commit on Sunday. He's going to announce in December, I believe, but it's a big deal for LSU basketball.
Oh, absolutely, man. I mean, if you get this guy, that just completely changes the view from the outside of LSU's basketball program, and that they were dead in the water after
It's the shot of life that the Nas Reed, Darius Days, Emmitt Williams class gave you. If you can make that stand up, that's good.
All right, last one here. Eli Manning is reportedly being offered membership at Augusta National. His brother Peyton is already in as a member. Hunt, you're just 2 Super Bowls away. Take it or leave it.
I will take it. Here's the problem with that.
Yeah.
I'm 36. I turn 37 next in 2 months. So, like, my window of Super Bowl opportunity is closed.
Okay, no, you're completely wrong, Hunt. Why can you not go be an offensive consultant for a team and get 2 Super Bowls?
No, I think I got to play quarterback.
Do you have to?
No, you don't have to, but I think that's my best chance.
No, but
I don't think that Augusta is really going after a lot of consultants.
Okay, but you're telling me that if you have a couple of giant rings in your finger and you walk up to an Augusta member and say, "Hey, I was on these teams, were really good, and I was a big part of it. Let me in."
Well, I'll tell you, if I do that, I'm definitely not getting in. You're not allowed to ask.
No, I know.
But I think if I win 2 Super Bowls at quarterback, I've got a real chance. But again, I'm 37. My clock is ticking. Now, Brady got one at 41.
He did.
So I still got a little time. I just haven't really been given the opportunity.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure I agree with you there. Just based on the knowledge of your ability at quarterbacking.
What about? How's my ability as an offensive analyst?
I mean, better than quarterbacking. I think you played the NCAA a good bit.
I haven't played in like 6 years.
You did though.
I did. Did a lot of 4 verts.
A lot of hours.
A lot of 4 verts.
Hey, look, 4 verts works, huh? I mean, they still run it in all levels of football, okay? It's a good play.
If I got 3rd and 7, we were running 4 verts.
We're running 4 verts.
That was just that was coming. So, all right, that's it for Take It or Leave It here on this Football Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Let me once again set you up for our broadcast schedule tomorrow for Guarantee Media. Start things up at 1:30, Eagle 98.1 game day from Rouse's, Burbank and Lee, Charles Handegriff, and Matt Musso for 3 hours, getting you ready for LSU and Alabama. If you're heading out to campus, go see them at Rouse's on Burbank and Lee. Get your ice, get your tailgate supplies, and they'll be broadcasting right outside there at Rouse's. They'll lead it up to 4:30. That's when I'll take over on the LSU Sports Radio Network's pregame show between the Rams to the Assembly Center. Be on for 90 minutes. Me, Brandon Taylor, and Marlon Favorite. We'll hand it off to the broadcast team at 6. They'll get you ready and have the call of the game. 30 minutes after it goes final, Fighting Tiger postgame report on the LSU Sports Radio Network. Me, Brandon Marlin, back with you, reacting to the game, taking your interaction on social media. 90 minutes after the game goes final, Charles Handegriff and Richard Dixon from right here in the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio on Eagle 98.1 Game Day's postgame show, taking your phone calls. So 1:30 start on Eagle 98.1 Game Day all the way into Sunday morning with your LSU Bama prep. We've done just about all we can do here from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio on this Football Friday. Next, we'll pick a couple football games on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Evolve Physical Therapy and Sports. EvolvePT.com is that website. Robbie Bolton, his team, no, that's not right. That's a different one. About 20 years as a physical therapist in the capital city. Professional athletes have trusted their bodies with Robbie Bolton and his team. You certainly can as well. Doesn't matter if you're a youth athlete trying to get back on the field or somebody that's in their 50s, 60s, 70s that's trying to get back to being active. If you're trying to be active, they can get you back towards that. It's hands-on physical therapy. It's isokinetic testing. It's scraping, cupping, dry needling. All those types of things designed to get you back to feeling better, being your active self. Pain sucks. They can help you deal with it at Evolve Physical Therapy and Sports. They're on Starring near Highland Road. You can check them out online, EvolvePT.com. It's Robbie Bolton and his team at Evolve Physical Therapy and Sports, EvolvePT.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Closing up shop on a Football Friday. Always enjoy our Friday shows here, presented by Course Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. I am fired up. Got some family coming in this afternoon. Got some dinner we're going to get to this evening, and then a full day of football watching. Commencing with LSU and Bama. I opened the show talking about how fired up I am for this game, but I am every single year because this game does mean a lot and it is important and it's got a lot of consequences and it's going to be an incredible environment. There's a lot on the line on Saturday night in Death Valley, so I can't wait for that. And then, of course, Sunday we'll have Saints and Falcons, and we'll see just how ready the Saints are to play, how much energy they have, and whether or not they can figure some things out after losing 7 in a row and ditching their coach earlier this week. So we got one thing left to do here, and that is, of course, pick some football games. We start in the National Football League.
The New Orleans Saints, the Atlanta Falcons. It's time for Hunt's final pick.
Look, I laid a lot of this out earlier in the hour. This is an uphill battle for New Orleans. You are without your top 2 corners. One plays for Washington, one's out for the year. You're without your top 2 wide receivers. One has got concussion issues and has not played, and one may not play again. The other one has a knee issue that's not going to resolve itself this season. You've got an offensive line that is starting to get back to health, but just hasn't looked great in the last couple of weeks. And I just don't trust this defense either. Kirk Cousins is throwing the ball great for Atlanta. He's got weapons all over the field. Your hope as a Saints fan is to hope that New Orleans comes out and has a ton of energy and that Derek Carr plays the best game he's played since week 2. If that happens, the Saints have a chance to beat Atlanta at home. I think the crowd will get behind them, and I think they've got a shot with a bunch of pros. But I just don't see that right now. I see Atlanta moving the ball pretty much at will, and I just don't think the Saints can keep up. They may score some points and roll up some yards against a bad Falcons defense, but I just don't think it's enough. So my final score in this one from New Orleans, Atlanta 30, Saints 17. I've got the Saints losing their 8th straight ball game, even without Dennis Allen on the sideline. So that's my pick for Saints at Falcons 30-17. Atlanta, let's pick the big one Saturday night in Death Valley.
The LSU Tigers. The Alabama Crimson Tide. It's time for Hunt's final pick.
We preview this one a lot. To start with, it's going to be an incredible environment. I talked to somebody at LSU today at lunch, and they said, we do not have access to any tickets anywhere. The ticket office is just out. He said he'd been at LSU for 20 years, never seen demand for a ticket like this one, which is interesting because there have been games that have been higher stakes. But a lot of people are going to be interested in this one. And LSU is going to welcome an incredible crowd into Tiger Stadium on Saturday. I think the 2 quarterbacks are fascinating in this game for different reasons. Garrett Nussmeier is going to complete a ton of passes. He's going to throw for a lot of yards. Alabama's secondary is very young, and LSU will beat them some with their wide receivers and Mason Taylor at tight end. He also has a propensity to throw it to the wrong team when you make him throw it 45, 50 times. Jalen Milroe is going to run for some yards. I don't think LSU is going to produce a stat line like Milroe had against Vanderbilt or against Tennessee, where he just got bottled up completely. The question is, does he run for 130 and 3 scores, or does he run for 45 and a touchdown? And then with Milroe, what passing game do you get from him? I've seen him hit deep balls, saw him look clinical in the first half against Georgia. Against Missouri, he looked terrible. And he was reluctant to run. That guy's still in there too. LSU's defense is going to be more prepared for Milroe in the designed run game than they were for Marcel Reed at A&M. They will be. How well they stop it, we'll see. I think it'll be pretty good. It's the off-script stuff with Milroe that will absolutely kill you. It's third downs. It's big plays. That's the stuff that really, really hurts. And oh, by the way, the Ryan Williams kid on the other end, he's pretty good as well. We'll see what LSU can do to combat him. I think this is a close game. Why do I think this is a close game? Because LSU has played a lot of close games. Alabama has played a lot of close games. Alabama played a close game with Georgia and won it. Alabama played a close game with Vanderbilt and lost. They played a close game with Tennessee and lost. They played a close game with South Carolina and won. They're not the juggernaut they once were. They're just good. LSU is good. I think LSU is going to move the ball. I think Alabama is going to move the ball. I think the points start to roll up in this game in the second half. I'm going to take Tiger Stadium in this game, y'all. I think LSU is going to make the playoff this year. I've talked myself into that. I see the flaws. All that could be out the door 30 hours from right now. But as we sit here on Friday afternoon, I think LSU wins the football game. I've got LSU 30, Alabama 28 in front of a raucous crowd in Tiger Stadium, and I think the program takes a step forward on Saturday and this year by reaching the playoff and kind of setting that as the standard in Baton Rouge. So give me LSU in Tiger Stadium tomorrow night. Those are your final picks here on this Football Friday. Thanks to the folks at Corks. Check out their menu, corksfishandshrimp.com. If you missed any of the show, catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, wherever you find your sound. You can always find us. Just search Hunt Palmer Show. Like, subscribe, rate, and review. Open the show talking about the stakes in this game for these two programs and my memories of LSU and Alabama. Preston Guy was with us as well. Garrett Nussmeier was pulling against LSU in this game a dozen years ago. Took some picks against the spread for the SEC as well. Go find it all on demand. Matt's going to drive you home on AFR. We'll see you Monday. Come on, Tigers. Get it done.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is the website. Jonathan Carver and his team, fantastic folks. I know that insurance is not the most fun conversation to have. I had it for a long time. And I understand that you might think, insurance, it costs a lot, and I don't even see any results from it. That's your thought. You're not wrong if you never have a claim. But when those issues do rise up, you want to be covered properly. And if your only mission in buying your insurance is, hey, what's the cheapest? This is probably not the call you make. But I can promise you, if you do make the call, they're going to take care of you and make sure that before the car accident, before the cyber breach, before the hurricane, your policies are going to put your business in a position to recover from any damages. It's the Highland Insurance Group, Jonathan Carbo and his team. Fantastic to work with right here in Baton Rouge. You can give them a call or visit them online. It's HighlandIG.com. It's the Highland Insurance Group. Check them out online, HighlandIG.com.